Unlock a path of inner peace by embracing a life free from resistance and struggle. We live in a world where the struggle feels like the default state of being. From the moment we wake up, we resist the alarm clock. Resist the traffic. Resist the people who challenge us. Resist our own thoughts and emotions. Yet, in this resistance lies the very source of our turmoil. What if, instead of fighting life, we flowed with it? What if, instead of pushing against reality, we embraced it? Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a river. The water flows effortlessly, finding its way around rocks and bends, never pausing to lament the obstacles in its path. Are you flowing like that river? Or are you constantly trying to swim upstream? I used to believe that life was a series of battles to be fought and won. That peace was something you earned after conquering all the chaos. But then I began to ask, what if peace isn't something we find after the struggle? What if peace is what remains when we stop struggling altogether? This is where our journey begins, not with the promise of some far-off enlightenment, but with the simple act of letting go. Letting go of the need to control everything. Letting go of the belief that life must be different for us to be happy. Letting go of resistance. And yet, letting go isn't passive. It's not about giving up or retreating from life. It's about fully embracing life as it is, with all its imperfections and unpredictability. How do we do that? How do we live without resistance in a world that seems to demand it at every turn? First, we start with awareness. Resistance often disguises itself as something else: frustration, anxiety, even ambition. You feel it when you argue with someone not because they are wrong, but because you cannot bear to be seen as wrong yourself. You feel it when you cling to a vision of the future so tightly that the present becomes unbearable. What are you resisting right now? Is it the weather? A relationship? Or even yourself? Awareness is the first step because you cannot let go of something you don't know you're holding on to. So, let's pause. Take a deep breath. Can you feel the tension in your body? The way your shoulders might be hunched. The tightness in your jaw. That's resistance. Now, let's go deeper. Why do we resist? Why do we cling so desperately to the illusion of control? Perhaps it's because we've been taught to believe that life is a competition. That success means bending the world to our will. But if that were true, why are so many people who have it all still unhappy? Why does peace elude even those who seem to have won the game? Here's the truth: resistance is born from fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of failure. Fear of loss. But here's another truth: fear itself is a form of resistance. It's the refusal to accept uncertainty. To embrace the fact that life, by its very nature, is unpredictable. When we resist life, we create a wall between ourselves and reality. But reality doesn't change because of our resistance, it simply becomes harder to bear. Imagine trying to hold back a wave with your hands. The wave doesn't stop, it only overwhelms you. What if, instead of trying to stop the wave, you learn to surf it? To embrace a life free from resistance, we must learn to trust. Trust in the flow of life, even when it doesn't go the way we want. Trust that every challenge is an opportunity for growth. Every loss a lesson in letting go. This trust doesn't come easily, it's a practice. Start small. The next time something doesn't go your way, pause. Instead of reacting, ask yourself, what if this is exactly what I need right now? What if this moment, as uncomfortable as it is a teacher? You see, life isn't something to be conquered or mastered, it's something to be experienced. The joy, the sorrow, the beauty, The mess, it's all part of the same dance. Here's a question for you: if you could live your life without resistance, what would change? Would you be more at peace with others? With yourself? Would you finally feel free? This path isn't easy, but it is simple. It begins with one choice. One moment of surrender. And in that moment, you'll find something extraordinary, a glimpse of the peace that has always been within you, waiting for you to stop resisting and start living. The art of flowing through life's challenges without losing yourself. Imagine standing in a storm. The wind howls. The rain lashes at your face. And the ground beneath your feet feels uncertain. Now, imagine standing in that same storm. But instead of fighting against it, you let it move around you. You sway with the wind. Feel the rhythm of the rain. And adapt to the uneven ground. The storm hasn't changed. But you have. This is the essence of flowing through life's challenges. Flowing through life doesn't mean avoiding challenges or pretending they don't exist. It means meeting them with a sense of grace and adaptability. Yet, this is often easier said than done. When life throws us a curveball, our first instinct is usually to resist, to push back, to fight, to regain control. But in doing so, we often lose sight of ourselves, of who we truly are beneath the chaos. Take a moment to reflect. When was the last time you felt overwhelmed by life's challenges? Was it a conflict with a loved one? A setback at work? A personal failure? What did you do? Did you fight against it? Or did you allow yourself to flow with it? One of the greatest lessons I've learned is that challenges are not obstacles to overcome, they are currents to navigate. Like a river winding its way to the ocean, we can learn to flow around the rocks in our path, rather than smashing into them. But how do we do this without losing ourselves in the process? It begins with a deep understanding of who you are. Not who the world expects you to be, but your true self, the part of you that remains steady no matter what storm you face. Think about this: who are you when everything else falls away? When the titles, the possessions, and the roles you play are stripped away, what remains? This question is not meant to unsettle you but to ground you. Because when you know who you are, you realize that no challenge can truly shake you. The storm may rage, but your essence remains intact. Flowing through life also requires us to embrace change. This is where many of us struggle. We cling to the familiar, even when it no longer serves us. We resist change because it feels like losing control. But what if change is not something to fear but something to welcome? Think about nature. The seasons change. The tides ebb and flow. And life renews itself again and again. Would you tell a tree to resist the wind? Or a river to stop its course? Of course not. So why do we resist the natural flow of our own lives? Consider this: what if the challenge you are facing right now is not a roadblock but a redirection? What if it is life's way of guiding you to a path you wouldn't have chosen on your own? Would you still resist it? Or would you surrender to the flow? Surrender is a word that often gets misunderstood. To many, it sounds like giving up. But in truth, surrender is one of the most powerful acts of courage. It is the willingness to let go of what you think should be and embrace what is. It is the decision to stop fighting the current and start flowing with it. Here's a practice for you: the next time you face a challenge, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this teaching me?" This simple shift in perspective can transform resistance into acceptance and struggle into growth. I once heard a story about a master swimmer who saved a man from drowning. When asked how he managed to pull the man to safety despite the raging waves, the swimmer replied, I didn't fight the waves, I became one with them. This story holds a profound truth. When we align ourselves with life's flow, rather than fighting against it, we discover a strength we didn't know we had. We become resilient. Not because we force our way through life, but because we move with it. But what about the moments when the challenges feel too big? Too overwhelming? How do we keep flowing when it feels like we're being swept away? In those moments, remember this: you are not the storm, you are the calm within it. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And reconnect with that still, steady part of yourself. The part that knows this too shall pass. The part that trusts in the wisdom of life's unfolding. And ask yourself, what if this challenge is here to reveal something beautiful about you? What if it is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more compassionate? Would you still resist it? Or would you embrace it with open arms? Flowing through life's challenges is not about avoiding the storm, it's about learning to dance in the rain. It's about finding joy in the unexpected, peace in the chaos, and strength in the surrender. It's about trusting that life, in all its mystery, knows exactly what it's doing, even when we don't. So, I leave you with this question: if you could let go of all resistance, if you could fully embrace the flow of life, what would your life look like? Would you find a deeper sense of peace? A greater sense of freedom? Would you finally discover what it means to truly live? Embracing freedom through radical acceptance of life's unfolding. Imagine standing on the edge of a vast forest. Each tree a moment in your life. Some trees are tall and radiant, symbolizing your happiest times. Others are gnarled and twisted, representing pain and struggle. What if I told you that true freedom lies not in cutting down the twisted trees, but in accepting them as they are, an essential part of the forest that makes up your existence? This is the heart of radical acceptance, to embrace life exactly as it unfolds, without judgment, resistance, or the need to control. It is not resignation, it is liberation. When you accept life as it is, you free yourself from the chains of what could have been and step into the beauty of what is. But let's be honest, accepting life isn't always easy. It's one thing to accept a sunny day, a loving relationship, or a personal success. But how do we accept the rainy days, the heartbreaks, the failures? How do we embrace the moments that bring us to our knees? The first step is to understand that acceptance doesn't mean approval. It doesn't mean you have to like or condone every experience. It simply means acknowledging reality without fighting it. Consider this: if you spill a glass of water, no amount of anger or denial will unspill it. The water is already on the floor. The only question is, what will you do next? Life is much the same. When something goes wrong, when plans fall apart or pain arises, we often waste energy resisting reality. We replay the past in our minds, imagining all the ways it could have been different. But this resistance only deepens our suffering. As the Buddha once said, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Suffering is the gap between what we want life to be and what it actually is. So, how do we close that gap? How do we step into radical acceptance and embrace the freedom it offers? Start with compassion, for yourself and for others. When life feels unbearable, remind yourself that it's okay to feel hurt, angry, or lost. Acceptance doesn't mean suppressing your emotions, it means allowing them to be. Without judgment. Feel the pain, but don't become it. Acknowledge the loss, but don't let it define you. Here's a question to ponder: when was the last time you truly forgave yourself? Not just for the small mistakes, but for the moments when you fell short of your own expectations. Forgiveness is an act of radical acceptance. It says, I may not be perfect, but I am enough. Can you say that to yourself right now? Radical acceptance also requires us to release control, not because we are powerless, but because control is an illusion. Think about all the times you've tried to force an outcome, only to realize later that life had other plans. Were those plans not often wiser than your own? What if the very things you resist are the things you most need to grow? Imagine holding a handful of sand. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. But when you open your hand, the sand rests peacefully in your palm. Life is like that sand. The more you try to control it, the more it eludes you. But when you let go, you discover a sense of ease, a sense of flow. Letting go doesn't mean giving up on your dreams or aspirations. It means trusting that life will unfold as it's meant to, even if the path looks different from what you imagined. Here's a practice to try each morning. Set an intention for the day, not a rigid goal, but a guiding principle, like kindness, patience, or curiosity. Then, let the day unfold as it will, returning to your intention whenever you feel resistance. Radical acceptance is also about embracing impermanence. Everything in life is fleeting, our joys, our sorrows, even our very existence. This might sound unsettling, but it's actually profoundly liberating. When you accept that nothing lasts forever, you learn to cherish each moment for what it is, rather than clinging to what it could be. Think of a sunset. Its beauty lies in its transience. You don't try to hold on to the sun as it dips below the horizon, you simply witness it, appreciating its fleeting glow. Can you bring that same sense of presence to your own life? Can you witness each moment, each emotion, each experience, without clinging or resisting? Here's another question for you: if you could fully embrace impermanence, how would your life change? Would you hold your loved ones closer, knowing that every moment with them is a gift? Would you let go of grudges, realizing that they only weigh you down? Would you finally allow yourself to live, free from the fear of what might be lost? Radical acceptance is not a one-time decision, it's a lifelong practice. It's about showing up for life, again and again, with an open heart and a curious mind. It's about finding beauty in the brokenness, meaning in the mess, and peace in the unpredictability. And so, I leave you with this thought: life is a dance between holding on and letting go. The key is knowing when to do each. Can you trust yourself to find that balance? Can you trust life to guide you, even when the path is unclear? The freedom you seek is already within you. It's not something you have to earn or achieve, it's something you simply allow. All it takes is the courage to say yes to life, to love, to yourself. The final frontier, discovering the unshakable peace that lies beyond struggle. Imagine standing in the stillness of a vast desert. The air is quiet, the horizon endless. For the first time, you feel the absence of noise, not just the external kind, but the internal chatter that has been your constant companion. This is what it means to touch the unshakable peace that lies beyond struggle. It is not the peace of an untroubled life, but the profound serenity of a heart that no longer fights reality. This peace is not something distant or unreachable. It is here, now, in this very moment. But why does it often feel so elusive? Why do we spend our lives chasing after something that is already within us? The answer lies in the way we perceive ourselves and the world around us. We are conditioned to believe that peace must be earned, that it is the reward for solving all of life's problems. But this is an illusion. Peace is not the absence of problems, it is the presence of acceptance. It is the realization that life, in all its complexity, is enough just as it is. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, what am I resisting right now? Is it a person, a situation, or perhaps an aspect of yourself? What if, instead of resisting, you simply allowed it to be? What if you stopped trying to fix, change, or control, and instead leaned into the experience with curiosity and compassion? This is not a call to complacency. Acceptance does not mean passivity, it means clarity. When you stop resisting, you see life as it truly is, not as you wish it to be. And in that clarity, you find the freedom to respond with wisdom and grace. But let's go deeper. To discover unshakable peace, we must confront the root of our struggles, the ego. The ego is the part of us that clings to identity, attachment, and control. It tells us that we are separate from the world, that our worth is tied to what we achieve, and that happiness depends on external circumstances. The ego thrives on struggle because struggle reinforces its sense of self. What if you could see through the ego's illusions? What if you could realize that your true self is not the one who struggles, but the one who witnesses the struggle? This is the essence of awakening, to shift your identity from the limited ego to the infinite awareness that lies beyond it. Awakening does not mean escaping the challenges of life. It means facing them with a new perspective. When you awaken to your true nature, you no longer see problems as obstacles to your peace. You see them as opportunities to deepen your understanding, to grow in compassion, and to connect with the deeper currents of life. Here's a question for you: who would you be without your struggle? Not what would your life look like, but who would you be? Would you still recognize yourself? Or have you become so identified with the fight that you've forgotten who you are without it? The unshakable peace we seek is not a state to be attained, it is a truth to be remembered. It is the peace of the ocean, vast and unchanging, even as the waves rise and fall. It is the peace of the sky, endless and clear, even as clouds pass through. Can you see that this same peace is your true nature? To embody this peace, we must practice letting go, not just once, but over and over again. Letting go of our need to be right, our need to win, our need to be anything other than what we are. Letting go of the past and the future, and coming home to the present moment. Here's a practice to try the next time you feel caught in struggle. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. With each exhale, silently say to yourself, I release. Release the tension in your body, the judgments in your mind, and the emotions in your heart. Notice what happens when you stop holding on. You may find that peace is not something you have to create, it is something you uncover when you let go of everything that obscures it. This journey is not about reaching a destination, it is about becoming intimate with the present moment. It is about realizing that peace is not somewhere out there but right here, in the space between your thoughts, in the stillness beneath your emotions. And so I leave you with this final question: what would it take for you to fully trust life? To trust that even in the midst of chaos, there is a deeper order. To trust that even in the face of loss, there is a greater wholeness. To trust that you are not separate from life but an inseparable part of its unfolding. When you trust life, you step into a flow that is beyond struggle. You discover a freedom that cannot be taken away, a joy that does not depend on circumstances, and a peace that is as unshakable as the ground beneath your feet. This is the final frontier, not a place, but a state of being. It is the realization that you are already whole, already free, already at peace. All that remains is to remember, to trust, and to live from that truth.